Meet the flexibility sports. If twisting your body like a pretzel is comfortable for you, a flexibility sport could harness that youthful talent and channel it into a career of glittering gold. Whether you're a tiny mite able to vault to great heights, or a beast who makes a man out of being quick-footed and nimble, flexibility sports make being agile cool. Limbs may contort in the quest for success, but there's no success when bending the truth. It's the underrated universal pre- and post-practice ritual every athlete needs to endure and, let's be honest, embrace. Because as the old and debated adage goes, stretching warm muscles will keep them from injury. Stretching even has an ancient activity associated with it, the Indian discipline of yoga.
Yoga is not a religion. It is a spiritual science, and yoga is not only a physical exercise. It is a complete medical science. It is a philosophy of life, and it is a way of life.
Soon, the Western world took yoga and transformed it into a posh pastime for Lululemon-wearing women. But that perception has since changed. Because ever since David Beckham made public that yoga prolonged his career, more and more athletes revealed they found nirvana and sporting longevity thanks to it.
When I got to about 31, 32, then I attribute a lot of the longevity, sitting here almost 44, put it down to yoga.
I'm a lot stronger, I'm eating a little bit different, yoga, making sure that my body is stretched the right way.
Like those yogi taking part, this spiritual practice has twisted itself into all different kinds of yoga. There is mothers and babies yoga.
The benefits of yoga for children: better sleep, better digestion, increases the parent-child bond, it helps build neuromuscular development.
Then there's broga, or yoga just for the bros.
This kind of type of yoga is easier for me to get into, rather than the kind of full force, bendy split, all-out yoga.
There's even snake yoga.
I'm sure I'm not the first person to meditate with snakes. If you look at the Lord Shiva, the god of yoga, he is actually always meditating with snakes.
Young or old, this flexibility discipline is for virtually everyone.
I'm very fortunate that I have no problems, no medical problems at all, and I am grateful for that. I'm going to continue yoga as long as I can.
Coming up, diving with distortion. Whether you're looking in awe at a vast ocean or majestic lake, there is something soothing about a body of water. For water has always been associated with healing and calm, leaving many environmental psychologists to announce that it even slows the brainwaves. That's unless you're about to dive into that body of water at heights ranging from 60 to 145 feet. Calling it calming would be preposterous.
There's nothing relaxing when you're up on that platform. It's a thrill ride every time.
Professional cliff diving demands flexibility and fearlessness, and nobody has been better in recent times than Gary Hunt. the former Olympic hopeful turned high-diving daredevil has dominated the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series, having won the men's title 6 out of 7 times between 2010 and 2016.
One thing I love about cliff diving is you need to be ready for anything. As a cliff diver, you have to be able to dive in the rain, be able to dive with the wind and everything, and you just have to roll with the punches.
Hunt's female cliff diving counterparts definitely agree.
That's the good thing about cliff diving is, you know, you don't know what's going to be thrown at you. So you come hoping it will be sunny, but you take whatever you get. Maybe it's a little bit breezy, but I mean, we're professionals. We should be able to dive through it.
For these divers, the challenge is also in the mind.
I imagine my dive's going perfectly, because if you can convince your brain of one thing, your body's a lot more likely to follow suit.
You can train as much as you want, but when you get onto that 27-meter board, it's really your head that takes over, and you have to be mentally tough and strong to convince yourself.
Your heart starts pounding, your heart rate's going up, and it takes a lot of control to overcome that. So for me, the mental side is definitely what outweighs.
Some would claim that these cliff divers are simply mental, considering the dangers associated with such a flexibility sport. But these athletes do their homework, having dedicated countless hours to ensure they arrive on location in peak physical and mental form. And oh, the locations. A far cry from an indoor swimming pool, cliff divers travel great distances to twist their way into the waters of the world. And their privileged views are always breathtaking.
You know, diving in a place like this is, you know, it just shows you the power of nature, man. I mean, this is just so big. The waterfall changed in the last couple of days, you know. Everything changes so fast. You come down here and everything is different. And you know, I have the chance to go up there and find a place to jump, man. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
But for the less adventurous, it does. Elite indoor Olympic divers may jump from considerably lower levels, but if there's one thing they have in common with elite outdoor cliff divers, besides the need for extreme flexibility, is the need to perform under extreme pressure. And perhaps no diver knows that better than Great Britain's Tom Daley.
In a competition, divers either handle pressure or they don't. For me, when you're under pressure, in theory, it should bring out the best of you because you got that extra adrenaline rush, and it's one of those things that divers are prepared for. You compete so often that you get used to the pressure.
Daley has had to deal with the pressure of being Team GB's great diving medal hope ever since he won a national under-18 title as a 10-year-old. In 2008, at just 13 years of age, he became the youngest ever male medalist in a world diving event, and later competed in his first major pressure cooker, the 2008 Olympics in Beijing.
Well, there's been lots of things that I've learned from Beijing, because when you go in there, you think it's going to be like a normal competition and you think you're really prepared, but as soon as you get out onto the Olympic stage, you're just kind of like, oh my God, what's going to happen? And it kind of completely changes your mindset once you see those rings.
Between competitions in Rome in 2009 and Shanghai in 2011, Daley grew 12 centimeters and arrived at his next Olympics better equipped for the rigors of the Games. Which was a good thing, considering they took place in his own backyard. London 2012 would turn Tom Daley into a national aquatic superstar.
Like I said, you're up there with like some of the top athletes, and it's really weird to actually see yourself in photos of those kind of people.
He quickly found himself juggling training for medals with posing for photos and getting a life-size image of himself sculpted in wax.
When you see the figure of Tom Daley, you'll see it's in a very unique and dynamic pose, and he was an absolute champion during the sitting, and our guests absolutely love the figure. It's in a creative and an immersive set where it looks like he's actually diving into a pool.
But some wished the real Daley would spend more time diving into a real pool. Britain's performance director Alexei Evangulov even compared him to Anna Kournikova. All media and no medals. After Daley tanked it at a test event just months before London.
Well, it's really frustrating. Like any competition in any sport, you know that there's a fine line between getting the medals and not, so you have to make sure that you nail every dive.
Daley eventually secured a bronze medal in the 10-meter platform competition in London behind China's Chu Bo, who had the pressure of being the favorite, and America's David Boudia, who had nothing to lose as a clear-cut underdog and took gold. The poster boy of London 2012 left the Games with a healthier outlook heading to the 2016 Olympics.
Well, you can't really have too many outcome goals. You have to focus about the process of the dive and how you're going to be able to do the 6 best dives that you can do, and then the results look after themselves.
4 years later at the Rio Games, that perspective pocketed himself another bronze medal. But what really stood out was how he was able to inspire the entire diving movement back home.
Tom has brought a lot of media attention and support to the diving community and to Team GB, which has been fantastic. And we've certainly felt that growth in the amount of people that have watched the sport.
A regular in social media and on the medal podium has made Tom Daley modern diving's great success story. On the women's side, China has been able to provide the sport with its most dominant diver ever, Minxia.
In the Asia region, I think the strongest competitor is myself. Everyone just wants to finish their dives well and not to think too much about others. So if I can perform to my best potential, then I would say that I have defeated my strongest rival, myself. As long as I can do that, no matter what happens to the other competitors, I think I have done my job.
Wu has done her job so well, at the 2016 Rio Games, she made diving history. The Shanghai native won gold in the synchronized 3-meter springboard, joining compatriot Shen Rulin as the all-time leader in diving gold medals, man or woman, ahead of the likes of Greg Louganis and Minxia. However, the medals have come with a price. Following the London 2012 Games, Wu discovered that her parents withheld information that her grandmother died a year prior and her mother had cancer, all to keep her focused on her training. But this focus has made her a 3-meter specialist and a legend of the sport. After the break, the Cold War of gymnastics. Post-World War II, when one referred to geopolitical relations between the Eastern Bloc, or Russia, and the Western Bloc, or the United States, the label used was the Cold War.
A milestone in '63. East and West banned the testing of nuclear weapons in the atmosphere.
For years, the world waited with bated breath as the threat of war was seemingly just around the corner. Once that threat subsided, however, some used the conflict to secure themselves a home. A home made out of an abandoned underground missile shelter.
We can go to sleep without worrying about natural disasters or man-made disasters. So there's a peace here.
On the Olympic stage, the peace between the United States and Russia has rarely been noticed, with the rivalry really heating up on the ice of Lake Placid at the 1980 Winter Games, when the Americans beat the Soviets in an ice hockey game more commonly known as the Miracle on Ice.
Once again, the U.S. hockey team has provided an unexpected thrill. They weren't supposed to win a medal at these Olympic Games, but they'll go home with the gold.
And when it comes to the Summer Olympics, the Cold War happens in the women's sport that demands the most flexibility of them all: gymnastics. The Americans' love affair with artistic gymnastics went from zero to, "Hey, we love this sport," in 1984, when Mary Lou Retton became the first ever American woman to win a gold medal in the individual all-round competition, earning her the nickname America's Sweetheart. At the Atlanta Games in 1996, Kerri Strug was hailed their new American hero when she led the women's team to its first ever gold medal despite running, jumping, and vaulting her way to victory on a severely sprained ankle.
Well, there was a little bit of doubt in my mind, but I tried not to think about it, and I just, relied on all the practicing I had done and, said a small prayer and just went. There wasn't too much time to really think about it.
Yeah. Flash forward to the London 2012 Games, and they repeated the team feat on international soil, with Gabby Douglas becoming the first African-American to win gold in the individual all-round event.
I'm glowing because I'm so happy for all the little young girls that can say, you know what, I can do it, and I can be like Gabby, and she's our role model, and I can look up to her, so I love it.
Douglas made sure to take advantage of her magical moment by appearing in the media, over and over again. Meanwhile, the Russians had their own tiny star in Aliya Mustafina, who arrived in London with a surgically repaired ACL and left with a gold, 2 silvers, a bronze, and absolutely no desire for the spotlight.
Everything changes when you come to the international competition. You feel the spirit of competition, a lot of viewers and everyone watching.
But perhaps what the Russians were really watching was the rhythmic gymnastics competition. Because it's there that they really out-tumble their opponents, thanks to a dominant program and work ethic many Westerners would frown upon.
We recruit the children when they're 3 years old and train them hard until they're 6. At that age, we consider them to be professional.
Of course, they are still a power in the artistic discipline, with both men and women combining for nearly a quarter of the artistic gymnastics medals handed out in Olympic history. London was no different. The women won 6 medals compared to America's 5, but it was the Stars and Stripes who garnered the most media attention. 4 years later, while Mustafina would win gold in the uneven bars and bronze in the individual all-around event, it was another American who stole the show. Simone Biles won 4 gold medals and a bronze, becoming the most decorated American gymnast of all time. Up the Empire State Building we go.
It was a phenomenal experience, I think, for all of us as a whole, and we went over there and we did a very well job. We broke a couple records, and I don't think we could be more proud of ourselves.
America's newest sweetheart, her story is truly inspiring.
I discovered I had ADHD at a very young age. If you saw me when I was probably 6 years old, I had it running all over the place. My parents are like, I think this child needs something, and everyone was just like, well, she's just 6, she's hyper. But as I got older, it got a little bit harder, so gymnastics was nice to go to because you can kind of be crazy and you do a lot of skills, so then you really have to focus on that.
Biles ended the year with another accolade.
Someone's gonna have to untie her from her seat, Simone Biles.
What you achieved in Rio, Simone, redefined what it means to be an Olympian in your chosen sport.
In her chosen sport, the Olympic Cold War rages on, as it does in an ancient Olympic event where the flexibility of the athletes in competition is surprising despite their size. It's the sport of wrestling. The Soviet Union and the United States have all but dominated the wrestling medal tally between the first Olympic edition in 1896 and the 2016 Rio Games. America may have more overall medals, but the Soviet Union has more gold. Add to that the 58 medals the nation has won as Russia, and their wrestling stranglehold is very evident. Between freestyle and Greco-Roman, Russia took home 4 gold at the 2016 Games, including the man many consider the best in the business, Abdulrashid Sadulaev. Known as the Russian tank, Sadulaev fights in the 86-kilogram category. One he dominates thanks to his surprising explosiveness. As points aren't good enough, he always goes for the kill. Tim Foley, United World Wrestling's media relations chief, awed that nobody can combine Sadulev's strength and flexibility, and nobody has his mat IQ. He's a chess player, his stance is so solid, and his gamesmanship is on par with anybody. There are no glitches, no chinks. The Americans counter with another youthful monster. Kyle Snyder fights in the 97-kilogram category and is American wrestling's youngest Olympic gold medalist and world champion. The big man from Maryland is the future of the sport in the US, having claimed the freestyle 97-kilogram crown at the 2015 Senior Wrestling World Championships as a 19-year-old. Another form of wrestling where limbs need to be extra limber is in the world of entertainment wrestling. Also known as the fake version, just don't tell them that. Nonetheless, these athletes are extremely flexible, in shape and elite, even if they sometimes can't handle a slap.
He just smacked Barrett! You don't do that to a king!
Sure, it's all real. Still to come, the flexibility sport of pole vaulting. In athletics, there is one sport where everything bends. Pole vaulting is a curious case of physics, where the vaulter runs as fast as they can, converting kinetic energy into maximum height when their oversized pole is planted and bent. This helps catapult them over a bar, all while bending to successfully cross over the bar without touching it. Sound easy? Not really. In fact, in a 30-year period between 1984 and 2014, only 3 men broke the world record. Thierry Vigneron, who broke it in 1984, Renaud Lavillenie, who broke it in 2014, and Sergei Bubka, who broke it every other time in between. 17 times to be exact. Bubka's 20-year stranglehold on the record height ended when Lavillenie outvaulted him with a jump of 6.16 meters, instantly making him the man to beat in Brazil. And he was beaten, not only by hometown competitor Thiago Braz de Silva, who won gold, but by the Brazilian fans, who booed the Frenchman as he attempted to outvault their local hero.
It was complicated because some things happened that were unworthy of an Olympic stadium. But we have to deal with it, and the sports side was the most important for me.
Lavillenie won silver, but at least he got to compete. Yelena Isinbayeva never failed a drug test in her career, but having been allegedly involved in the Russian Federation's extensive but convoluted doping program, she was banned from the Games. Needless to say, she wasn't happy.
I certainly forgive Mr. Coe for this injustice. I certainly forgive the executive board for this injustice. But if they believe that what they did was fair, if they had just reversed the decision, let it be on their conscience. God will be their judge.
The former gymnast retired a 9-time champion in all major competitions, a 3-time IAAF Female Athlete of the Year, and is the first woman to clear the 5-meter barrier, having done so in 2005. Ultimately, being as stiff as a tree makes success in any sport difficult. Hence, Gareth Bale swears by stretching. Tom Brady has made yoga a part of his regular routine, and LeBron James is all about being flexible. Because once upon a time, flexibility was an afterthought. But now, no athlete can handle the pressure or battle a foe without being able to bend, but never break. And that is the truth.